What's up you guys, it's Graham here. So this is one of those videos where if enough people are asking for a certain video topic, I will go ahead and make it. Like I said, this is one of them. After posting my income breakdown video where I went over my 7 sources of income that generate $168,300 per month, everyone wanted to know how much of that I spend every month. So I figured, why not? Sure. So here's exactly how much I spend every single month. And of course, with this, I'll break down all of my philosophies when it comes to saving money, budgeting, using that money to make you more money, and of course, just being a financially responsible adult who always smashes that like button for the YouTube algorithm if you haven't done that already. So with that said, let's start here. How much money I make every single month does not dictate how much money I spend at all. Like, I'll spend the exact same amount of money whether I'm making $2,000 a month or $168,000 a month. I have a strict budget, I'll stick with it, and whatever is left over after that is then saved and invested. And if I do go and spend money on something, I make sure it'll either hold its value so I don't lose any money, or it's something that will make me more money than what I've spent on it. For instance, my Tesla Model 3 is a perfect example of this. Like, yes, I went and bought a Tesla online because it looked like a good deal. Like, from the outside looking in, that doesn't seem like the frugal thing to do coming from someone who just says they don't like spending money. But most people don't realize that the Tesla was a business expense that completely paid for itself within the first 2 months from one single video. And now it's like I own a free Tesla that I get paid to drive, which is crazy. I do my best to apply that sort of mentality with everything that I purchase so that way it will be free. That also means I'm very conscious about not spending my money on anything stupid. Like, no Gucci belts, no Gucci shoes, no Louis Vuitton anything, no Supreme anything, no private jets, no iced out Rolexes, none of that. To me, that's not me, and that just seems like a gigantic waste of money. Instead though, I'm all about the $2.99 H&M t-shirts. This is me ballin'. $2.99 right here. This shirt fits me perfectly. And with all of that, it should really come as no surprise that I like to save money a lot. And to me, it's almost like a personal challenge just to see how much I cannot spend. My philosophy behind this mentality is really simple, and it's just this. It doesn't matter how much money you make. Instead, it really just matters how much of that you actually get to keep. Like, the person who's saving 50% of their income earning $80,000 a year is probably going to be wealthier than the person saving 3% of their income earning $500,000 a year. So really, from a young age, I just always made it a priority to save as much money as I can, just knowing that would give me a huge advantage later in life. And also, when it comes to this, I think it's really important that I specify that I never view my income as though it's my income. Like, it never registers to me how much money I make. This is really because the only number that I care about is how much the money I make will make me. That's it. That way, I will never have to touch the principal, and I can live exclusively on the interest that money generates without ever having to worry about running out. And I know it sounds super cliche, like you would see that post on some stupid motivational entrepreneur business Instagram post, but you know what? It's true. So given that context, you'll be able to better understand how I spend my money, and when I do spend my money, how I prioritize it. So when it comes to my exact spending, because I know that's the reason everyone clicked on this video, that's what you want to see, it's really broken down into 2 categories. The first one is my own personal expenses, and the second one is my business expenses. Now, when it comes to my own personal expenses, this is really what I try to pay the most attention to because I have direct control over exactly how much money I spend. How much money I spend here has no impact on how much money I make, and because of that, I can really just afford to be as frugal as I can and cut back just for the sake of saving more money. So with that said, this is what I spend my money on, and for that, I will take you to my kitchen. Now first, we have my car insurance for the Tesla Model 3, and that is $125 a month. This is actually something I was able to get down recently by shopping around car insurance. And by the way, what they say about Geico, you could save 15% or more in your car insurance, that's totally BS. Geico is actually pretty expensive, but instead I found the best deal through Mercury. Now next, I spend $200 a month for a gym membership at Equinox. Now from everything I spend my money on, I realize that this is the most ridiculous, wasteful, excessive excessive, luxurious thing I spend any amount of money on is Equinox, but I gotta say, it is so worth it. I spend that amount every single month because it's literally right next door to my office. I can walk there in like 20 seconds. It's never crowded. It's really clean. It gets me in the gym more often, and I save so much time from getting in my car and driving to a gym and parking and having to deal with crowds and all of that. So if anything, the Equinox saves me a lot of money in terms of my time just being right next door to where I work. Now, third, I spend $215 a month on my health insurance. Now, when it comes to my health insurance, I basically have what's called a catastrophic plan, which means that I am responsible for the first $7,000 of anything that happens to me medically, and then anything beyond that within the year they will cover. Now, fourth, I have my phone bill, and that is $83 a month for pretty much unlimited everything, which is really good because I have unlimited data, which means that I can tether my phone data to my computer, and I can pretty much use my computer anywhere, even if I'm not connected to Wi-Fi. And this is also a good business tax write-off because I use this primarily for business purposes on YouTube as a real estate agent, so this one is a lifesaver. Now, fifth, I spend $80 a month on my internet, which again is an absolute must. I pretty much use this for my entire life, so that is a business write-off as well because again, that's used primarily for business purposes. And I'm also upset that they raised this recently. They raised me like $15 a month. I'm not happy about that, but you know what? Still, it's 80 bucks a month, whatever. Now, number six, I have my utility bills, and that's about $120 a month. That includes trash, gas, electricity, my water, and water for the unit next to me. This also includes the cost of electricity for charging the Tesla, which really isn't a lot of money because I don't really drive the car that often, and when I do, I try to take advantage of free supercharging, so it's really not that expensive. Now, number seven, I spend at the very most about $200 a month on groceries. And I have a feeling from all my expenses, this is gonna be the one that most people will like to hate on because I'll admit my diet is pretty bland. Like if I'm eating at home, I'll pretty much just live on omelets, oatmeal, bagels and cream cheese, protein shakes, Greek yogurt, the occasional cooked salmon or chicken breast. I don't know if that's TMI, but all of that is pretty inexpensive. So that's pretty much how I'm able to get my food budget at home down to like $6 and something a day. It's very easy if you can cook at home and eat omelets and oatmeal. I like that. Now, number eight, I have other little miscellaneous expenses that come to about $400 a month. Like this could be getting a haircut or taking an Uber somewhere or going out to dinner with some friends or going and getting all-you-can-eat sushi, which I absolutely love, or going and seeing a movie, or any sort of entertainment that I haven't really budgeted within anything else. And pretty much, this is my discretionary spending, for the most part within reason, is about $400 a month. And now, of course, without further ado, I have to live somewhere, so now we're going to be talking about housing. I live in a duplex here in Los Angeles where my total cost of ownership, that includes property taxes, mortgage, insurance, repairs, and everything else that goes into that, is $3,500 a month. Which to me, by the way, sounds very expensive. And thankfully for that, again, like I mentioned, this is a duplex, which means I live in one side and I rent out the other side to offset my cost. So that means you could subtract the other unit being worth $2,200 a month. You could subtract the $950 I make every single month in equity by paying down the mortgage. You can also subtract all of the write-offs I get by having a primary residence and also writing off everything against the rental income that this side generates. That means after all tax write-offs, after everything is said and done, I pay nothing to own and live in a duplex here in Los Angeles. And also, because I was able to cash out refinance all of the money I had invested in this property, it also means that this place costs me nothing to own. And the term for this, by the way, is called house hacking. So for anyone that wants to look into this, I have several videos I've made already about exactly how I was able to do this with this property, so I'm just going to link to that down below in the description. Now, number 10, I was debating whether or not I was gonna put this one in here because this is kind of a business expense, but I figured, I'm gonna put it here because it belongs in this category fine, and that would be the infamous $78 a month Tesla car payment. Now here's the thing though, let me be very clear. The payment for this car is $630 a month, but because this car is used almost exclusively for business and branding here on YouTube, it is a business tax write-off. This means I can write off and depreciate the value of the car over the next 5 years. The $630 a month does not include any state or federal tax rebates, and it also doesn't include that more than $500 a month of the $630 car payment go directly towards principal in the car, not to mention that the interest I pay on this car is another tax write-off. So yes, of course, it does show as $630 out of my account every month. That's how a tax write-off works, but after my tax write-offs and everything else that goes along with the car, the net amount that I lose on the car every month is about $78. And really though, besides that, that's all I spend money on. So if you guys want to know my own personal spending in terms of cash flow out of my account every single month that does not include home equity, car equity, or any sort of write-offs, that amount that I spend every single month is $3,353. However, when you look at my net cost every single month, that includes home equity, car equity, write-offs, and all the money I get back at the end of the year when I file my tax return, my own personal spending for all of my living expenses comes down to a net amount of $1,501 every single month. And I really believe that I owe a lot of what I was able to invest into, first of all, just trying to keep my expenses as low as possible and not getting carried away with any money that comes in and trying to spend it. No, you should try to save it instead. Now my business expenses, on the other hand, are expenses that I know will make me more money, like placing a dinosaur skull in a video. Like this is personal branding and this is a tax write-off. But this is okay because this is a replica, and the real thing would be millions of dollars, so I'm not about that life. But joking aside, what I spend here on my business expenses really just varies month to month, and for the most part, it's entirely discretionary. Like here on YouTube, I pretty much have no recurring business expenses besides a $99 a month Teachable hosting account, $150 a month for insurance, and another $150 a month for LLC and S-Corp filing fees, and that's it. So it's really under $400 a month to run this entire channel. The same thing also applies to me working as a real estate agent. I have MLS fees, insurance fees, realtor fees, and other miscellaneous fees. There's so many fees, but all in all, it probably comes to another $400 a month for that. Then everything beyond that is purely just discretionary, and it just depends on whatever I want to spend money on that I think would benefit the business. But of course, if there's something I see that will improve the quality of my videos or will help my business or something that you guys will all enjoy, then obviously I'm going to spend money on it, and spending money on it is a business tax write-off too. I like not to bleed money every single month, just trying to keep things running. And that in turn means less stress for me, meaning that I can produce content much easier, which means that I am much more free to talk about whatever I want without having to worry about all these overhead costs and making money and potentially being biased about something because of the money and all that sort of stuff. I try to avoid all of that by just keeping things lean, which oddly enough, by the way, just tends to end up making you more money, which is totally counterintuitive. You would think that the more high budget and more produced and the more expenses you have, the more money you can make. I think the opposite. I think the more authentic it is, the more real you are. You don't need anything fancy. Just the more money you end up making, which is, it's a weird cycle. Like, I know this part sounds a little bit hippie and new age, but this is the truth. I believe the less you need money, the more money you tend to make because you aren't doing things for the money and you tend just to be more creative because of that. Go figure, but hey, you know what? That's the truth. So anyway, this is how much money I spend every month, and I think it's really important to understand that I do not live my life as though I'm making the income that I do, or honestly, anywhere close to that. I try to live my life as though I'm making $4,000 a month, and anything else above that, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't even exist. I just invest it, and then whatever that money makes me, then I can maybe spend some of it, but not really, because I'd like to try to reinvest as much as that money as possible. So really, everything I make is just like out of sight, out of mind. I don't see it, it just gets invested, and that's what it is. And finally, let me answer two questions that came up a lot in my last video. Number one is, what is my plan for all of the money, and where am I going to be investing it? Well, first, I'm planning to use a significant amount of that money to put a down payment on a property in West Los Angeles. I have always wanted a house with a pool and a view, and I found an area here in Los Angeles that I believe is extremely undervalued. So my plan is to buy a property like that I can really renovate and fix up and make it look amazing, and then I'm gonna move in for a few years and just watch the values increase, hopefully over time, and then at a certain point I'm gonna find another deal so that I can rent out the one that I just bought and then do that again with another one. The other part part of that money is going to be going towards broad index funds. That way I'm not too concentrated in one asset class of just real estate, and I get a little bit more diversification. And as far as why I'm not using this money to pay down my mortgages, I will just save that for another video. Now, the second question a lot of people were asking is, why don't I just live a little and start spending some of the money that I'm making? Now, this is a very odd question because it almost implies that I need money in order to enjoy myself, which couldn't be further from the truth. Like, I am so simple when it comes to being happy. Like, what makes me happy is sleeping in until 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning. I am happy being able to be creative and make YouTube videos and just have fun doing this. Like, I'm happy getting $21 all-you-can-eat sushi. I'm really happy that I could decide tomorrow if I just want to go to Vegas, I could go and do that. Or if I just want to hang out and try to get a bit of a tan in my backyard, I can do that. I'm also just as happy being able to watch a horror movie with my girlfriend on Netflix and try to cook pasta, which I think I'm okay at cooking pasta. The thing is though, none of that requires a lot of money. I don't need a Lamborghini to make me happy. I don't need a $15,000 a month penthouse apartment to make me happy. All I need is the freedom to do what I want with a few close friends and have all-you-can-eat sushi. Money for me just really gives me the freedom to go and do that. And I also just get a lot of enjoyment from researching investments, from going and talking about investing, from talking about credit cards and buying real estate. Like, all of that to me is like playing a real-life game of chess to try to figure out what the best move is. And that's what gets me going. Like, I love doing that. As of now, this is really what makes me happy, and I wouldn't change a thing. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have not subscribed yet, make sure to smash that subscribe button because that doesn't cost you anything. That is free. Also, make sure to subscribe to my second channel. It's called The Graham Stephan Show. I post there every day. I'm not posting here. So if you want to see me every single day, subscribe to that channel as well. Also add me on Instagram. I post there pretty much daily. So if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me there. Thank you again for watching, and until next time.